For some people, it is having lots of money in the bank, but for most people, it's about actually having deep relationships. It's about having memorable life experiences.
What's the number one secret to creating a healthy relationship with our money?
I think the number one secret is being willing to do the work, being willing to look at our choices and learn from them. So many people want to stay unconscious and just go with the flow. And if we're willing to stop and take a look at and say, why didn't that work? What's not working? What am I willing to do to get there? I think more people would have the success and the healthy relationship with money that they're seeking.
Okay, so let's break that down. Okay, Bob, I'm showing up, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I've made multi-million dollars in cryptocurrency and these huge run-ups, or I own a business and I've operated it for a long time. And perhaps I'm not as organized in my budget, or perhaps I'm not as organized in the tax flow implications of what's going to happen when I sell. Walk us through how you would help me walk through that.
Yeah, so there are clients of mine that have had much success. They base all their goals on financial targets. And now all of a sudden they're saying, great, I have all this money and I'm not very happy. Like, life isn't good, even though I've got lots of money in the bank. So then the question for me starts to become, what are you looking for? What do you want your life to be about? What do you want your legacy to be? What's the impact that you want to have? And for some people, it is having lots of money in the bank. But for most people, it's about actually having deep relationships. It's about having memorable life experiences. It's about being able to travel or do what you want when you want, or even if you're on a budget, being able to do it within your means so that, okay, maybe I can't have everything, but I can have certain things if I actually set my mind to it. And for me, it actually means going back and looking at what are those values that I have or that I had, and are they still serving me? There are a lot of people out there that have gotten lucky financially, and in the back of their mind, they're still waiting to be caught or be waiting to be taken out. And so with that mindset, they're always sort of looking behind them to see when the shoe drops.
So that's really interesting. I want to try to pull some of that out and then ask kind of another level of a question. So really defining what the outcome is for your life, right? Not just your finances, right? The legacy of that, deeper relationships, more time with family, memorable life experiences, making sure you're connecting the one with the other, and know that they're interconnected. I think that's what I'm hearing you saying on that first part of it, right? And then obviously defining your core values as well. And then you mentioned you feel like they're getting caught, right? So walk us through that. That's kind of interesting, right? What are they getting caught with, Bob? And what are you going to help them with?
So one of the big things out there, and it seems silly, is this imposter syndrome. And there's a lot of studies done, psychology and all of this, where people think that they've gotten there by luck. They discount the fact that they have the education or they have the experience or they have the tools. And it's somewhere in the 70% range that people, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's a very high percentage of people that are waiting to get caught. It happens a little more often in women than it does in men, but there's a place where, oh man, I'm just not really good enough. I've been faking it really well. And like there were about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a guy, he was in the top 50. I think he was like 32nd or 34th, richest man in the world, dropped down into the 60s and committed suicide because he was so devastated that he wasn't in the top 50. And something's going on there besides looking at all of his wealth and saying, wow, I've made it. There's some emotional stuff going on that says, man, I didn't make it enough. I'm not worthy.
Wow. Yeah, that's staggering to think about that, right? 70% are waiting to get caught. So what's the number one sign that perhaps you're waiting to get caught?
Well, we hear it in our undervoice, that voice that's actually talking to us all the time in our head that we're trying to ignore. When I go into a room with people and I do a workshop, I'll say to everybody, who wants to be rich? I do. Everybody raises their hand. I want to be rich. And then I'll ask, who deserves it? And you just see everybody like, oh, okay, I don't really deserve it. I was just hoping I could like play the game. So there's this voice that talks to us. Initially, we could say it was our parents, but at a certain point, it's really our voice, maybe disguised as our parents. And that's the voice we actually want to pay attention to, the one that says, you don't deserve it. Something's going to happen. It always goes wrong for you eventually. And start to hear that voice and say, thank you, but you're not serving me anymore. You can move on.
Interesting. Okay. So I think that's a good practical application, right? Who wants to be rich, and then who deserves it. And if those I guess those negative feelings, or those, it could be guilt. It could be, you feel, you don't deserve it. And, or, you think it's going to go away, right? You didn't really have any control of how it got here. Therefore,
right.
Perhaps you're out of control of when it's going to go away. Is that a fair summary?
Absolutely.